All right, the title of the video is The Silver Surfer 2.0 Meta is Incoming. And yes, Silver Surfer and ULTIMUS are getting reworks, and that is going to be tied into the Annihilator team, which is right here, which is in-game Thanos, Gladiator, and Gore. But what I'm specifically talking about is Aries is more or less going to be Silver Surfer 2.0. When Silver Surfer came out years ago, it issued an era of higher stats, and they are doing that again with Aries. And when we read this post, you will see that Aries feels very much similar to that of Silver Surfer, not really tied to a team. Higher base stats came. And then also the unlock method is going to be primarily battle pass. So it kind of mirrors what they did with Silver Surfer in the past. And I say in general, I'm pretty excited about this. I think this is good. I'm looking forward to getting Aries, and I believe people will be able to get Aries for free through the battle pass. And then you'll be able to get a maxed out and a bigger one, of course, by purchasing the battle passes. So the Wrath of Mars, greetings, commanders. A lone soldier has traveled from Olympus to change the landscape of war and feast upon all of its spoils. Ares, the god of war. I'm curious also to see if the unique ability Olympus Extract, which has been in the game for a long time and never been used, if that'll be used on Ares. Naturally, Ares is an alliance war specialist, yes. And he arrives with no team allegiances, allowing you to slot him into the war offense or war defense of your choosing. With the God of War by your side, your war squads will be capable of clashing with some of the top teams. And two of his abilities are specifically tied to war, and it looks like all the good stuff is war. But I'm hoping that he'll have some plug and play ability in Crucible. We will have to see. Ares character shards will be exclusively in the battle pass starting on the 29th at server reset in the premium and standard pass. So that's the normal track and the paid track. You can unlock a 3-star Ares during the first season availability with the premium pass. No matter what route you take during the recruiting of the God of War, make sure you dive into the PvP game modes like Alliance War, Cosmic Crucible, Arena, Blitz, and RTA every day to maximize the recharge during each Battle Pass season. So what it's saying is that if you want to get the most amount of Ares shards as possible, you're going to have to maximize your activity for the Battle Pass, which is those game modes. And then they'll be awarded through the Battle Pass. Now, there's a certain number of Battle Passes on the free track that it'll take before one is able to unlock Ares, and of course it is going to be faster if you purchase the battle pass. And I've said this many times, you know, if you're gonna spend $80 Marvel Strike Force, the first $80 to spend is gonna be the battle passes. I do think it's a little bit outrageous that the battle passes is $80 a month in this game, but this looks like it's going to be relatively low spender friendly if it's going to be an exclusively battle pass starting on the 29th. But before we gaze in awe of the godly kid of Aries, we got another important announcement. Big update arriving with Aries and continue into the future is the new way base stats and abilities will be designed for future kits. Let's kink things off with those details first. So again, keep in mind what happened with Silver Surfer way back in the day. This is similar, but a little bit different, and they give some context here. We've noticed a trend in Marvel Strike Force where our character kits and mechanics have steadily grown in length and complexity over the years. Starting with Ares and continuing with the next team, Annihilators, we're adjusting how we balance characters. So, yes, Annihilators right here. He's got Gore, Gladiator, in-game Thanos, Silver Surfer, and ULTIMUS are going to be a part of that team, and they're going to be reworks to Silver Surfer and ULTIMUS. I would caution you to not upgrade them in advance of knowing what all of this is going to mean. Do not upgrade Silver Surfer and ULTIMUS today just based on the words coming out of mouth that there's going to be reworks on them. You're going to want to see what they do to them before they do that, because certain characters and certain reworks don't end up being that impactful like Iron Man or Scarlet Witch and so on and so on. So just don't do it. Then we've got an Odin here, and Odin is going to be tied in with the Age of X somehow as shown here on the website. Let's keep going on the post. Historically, our character balancing starts with base stats, and we've maintained tight control over character base stats since we've launched. Stat values have slowly increased over the years, and we allow them to grow a few times a year when we release new Apex teams. However, because we've tightly controlled base stats, we've been adding more power and complexity to a character's ability kit each time we release a character. Yes, some of the kits feel like books. It is just so many words. And I think they're trying to step away from that for the near term. After taking a hard look at the complexity of some of our abilities, we knew it was time to enact change. We've increased our bar for base stats for new characters and reworks going forward. This means future characters will be powerful and effective with interesting abilities, but will rely more on their stats than current characters. Our new characters will have higher damage, armor, health, etc., but we are also going to reduce the amount of stats we've been putting into passives. As a result, power scores for new characters are going to increase, as most of the power score is tied to the base stat of a character. And my understanding is that in general, the total power scores on these new characters might be as much as 30% higher. So I'm wondering if we're going to have 1 million power characters after the release of Aries and with the Annihilator team, which is going to follow. We're confident that these updates will make the character kits easier to understand while maintaining the complex theory crafting ecosystem across the game. We'll be monitoring the effect of these updates going forward. So let's get into the kit, and we're going to skip to this part right here. Aries lands in battle as a protector who can turn his enemy strengths to his own and packs a punch. He's armed with big health and damage stats, and each of his abilities can be upgraded to an awakened ability. And my understanding is that there will be some awakened abilities on the battle passes, but this is also probably how they're primarily going to monetize this character, if I were to guess. I would not be surprised if there were offers on the awakened abilities, because the way that they worded it at the beginning, it looks like character shards are going to come in from the battle passes initially, but they don't specify awakened abilities. So I suspect that this is the way that they monetize it. His specialty in Alliance War is crippling teams who rely on passive abilities that apply charged or positive effects. In Alliance War, Ares' passive ability is a howitzer. After all other characters on spawn effects have activated, he copies and clears all enemy positive effects, which includes taunt. Oftentimes they exclude the word taunt here, but this is how he's going to be a protector. He's going to be taunting. That's how it's going to happen if the other team has taunt. Revive once. So that's kind of like Black Cat. And then this is one we have not seen before, and charged. And the way that it was explained to me is that he's going to copy the character with the most number of charges on the other team. And so the example that I heard is the opposing team has Nova with 2 charges and has Black Knight with 5 charges. They will lose the charge, and Ares will have 5 charges. So basically, he will have the number of charges based off the highest number of the other characters having on spawn. And with Revive Once, that's just 1. So if you go against a Dormammu team or something like that, Ares will have Revive Once. This cannot be resisted. His charge mechanic truly reflects the might of the gods. While charged, Ares can't be stunned, and non-mythic enemies can't gain charged or immunity. Ares also gains speed bar on turn. It's 20%, and he has a base speed of 118 on turn while charged. Now, this right here, non-mythic enemies, mythic enemies are going to be the Dark Dimension characters. So Apocalypse, Doom, Dormammu, Kestrel, Mephisto, Super Skrull, Ultimus, and Ultron. But this is really going to mess up characters that are highly dependent on charge, like Black Knight. So this guy's going to be a counter to a lot of teams inside of War specifically. Now let's get into the individual kit. I'm hoping that he'll have some plug and play ability. He's going to have significantly higher base stats than the characters have been having in the game. 118 speed. Let's go to the passive God of War. On spawn, gain Safeguard, and his awakened ability will allow them to gain 2 Safeguards. So without the awakened ability, it's just gain 1 turn of Safeguard. In War, after all characters on spawn effects, copy and clear all positive effects, charged and revive once from all enemies to this character. This attack cannot be resisted. On turn, if this character has charged, gain 20% speed bar and lose 1 charged. So he's gonna, I guess if he goes up against like Black Knight, he'll have 5 charges, and then with 5 charges, he'll get this for 5 turns, which I think is fantastic, right? While charged, non-mythic enemies cannot gain charged or immunity. Wow, this character cannot gain stun. And then the awakened ability, at the start of any match, enemy characters cannot spawn with Safeguard. Oof, oof, that is like Apocalypse. So that is like an Apocalypse level. So the passive awakened ability, which to me is not clear how that is going to happen, he gets Safeguard for 2 turns, and then at the start of any match, enemy characters cannot spawn with Safeguard in the same way that Apocalypse works. Let's go to his ultimate. Ultimate, energy cost 5/5, attack primary target for damage and 25% drain, and then the primary and secondary targets for more damage with piercing and drain. Apply blade for 2 turns and ability block for 1 turn. The awakened ability will boost this to 2 turns. Flip 1 negative effect into a positive effect for self. The awakened ability will make that 3. This attack is unavoidable and cannot be blocked. So there's the awakened ability. And those are useful. Not nearly as impactful as the awakened ability on the passive. This is like almost a must-have in my opinion. But this is useful for sure. Special. 3/3. Clear all barrier on primary target. And then with the awakened ability, it'd be all targets. Attack primary target for damage and apply stun and disrupted. And then the awakened ability will do in War will put trauma. And we know that trauma plus stun is amazing, but it's tied to War, and then gain charge. So this is the only way I see of gaining charge outside of stealing it on spawn. And so the number of charges he gets on spawn is going to be based off of one of the highest character on the other side. It's not going to add up. It's going to just be like if Nova's on the other side with 2 and Black Knight's over there with 5, he will have 5. All of them will get removed from the other side, but Aries will only have the amount of the highest character on spawn on the other side. So, awakened abilities, clear barrier from all enemies, and War apply trauma. So this makes him much better in War right here. Trauma plus stun and disrupted is very good. 3/3 low cooldowns, and being able to steal and clear all of these on spawn effects, which is all the positive effects, charge and revive once, makes him bonkers sounding in War. Now, we've got some other abilities here on the basic attack. Sundering Smite, attack primary target for damage and clear 3 positive effects. Chain to 2 adjacent targets for damage and clear 2 positive effects. Counter attack breaks this chain. Awakened ability is gain immunity. It's kind of a big deal. Safeguard plus immunity, right? 20% damage to primary and secondary targets, and Safeguard plus immunity is a very powerful mechanic. He should spawn with 1 Safeguard, 1 turn of Safeguard. If you have the awakened ability, be 2 turns of Safeguard. If you do basic attack, you're going to get immunity. And this leads me to think that Striker is going to be best on him because the ISO attack will clear 3 positive effects, but will be able to gain immunity. So if you can on turn 1, ultimate into something with vulnerable, then the ISO attack will pop off if you use Striker on Aries. And with the awakened ability, he will be gaining immunity, which is very important with Safeguard. Safeguard plus immunity is amazing. So that is the kit to Aries. It feels like Silver Surfer 2.0. Battle Pass unlock, stat increases going forward, same way that Silver Surfer was, or similar, right? Not really tied to a specific team. The difference here, I think Aries is more tied to a single game mode than Silver Surfer was. Specifically, Aries, God of War, it's going to be tied in with War. Let me know what you think. I'm pretty excited about this. Bye for now.